When I was trying to figure out what to do for this video, I went through all of my IVF videos and I kind of realized that I talk a lot about things that I've done to help my IVF journey, but it's kind of all spread out. So I want to summarize for you guys the 5 interventions that I've done to help my IVF journey be successful. For those of you that have been following for a while, know that I've done a lot of nutrition videos. I've done a lot of grocery hauls highlighting fertility boosting foods. I've done videos on what has helped me through the stim process and egg retrieval surgery. I've done videos on how I was preparing my body for the frozen embryo transfer, and I did videos on what I did to take care of myself post embryo transfer. So yeah, lots of videos highlighting what I've done to help my IVF journey be successful, but I kind of wanted to summarize all of them into this video. I'm not going to go into a ton of detail on each of these 5 things because I've done so many videos on these. So I will link all the videos down below that pertain to all of these interventions. I do realize that IVF is just merely giving you a chance at a baby. It's definitely not a guarantee, but you know, why not improve your chances? So I hope that by me sharing what I've done to help my IVF journey be successful will also help yours. Also, I want to mention that our bodies are incredibly smart. So if our bodies are sensing any sort of a threat or danger, like there's an underlying health issue we haven't addressed yet, or a mental health issue, or any sort of a danger the body is sensing, it will not get pregnant despite fertility treatments. Despite IVF, it will not accept that embryo. I just kind of wanted to emphasize that because it kind of brings me into these things that I did while going through IVF that I believe helped me and helped my body accept the embryo. Therefore, if you have any health issues that you have not addressed yet or you have not taken care of, and that includes mental health, if you have any depression, anxiety, like I'm talking major anxiety disorders, things like that, that you have not taken care of or addressed, I would definitely take care of that, or at least get it under control before you start your IVF journey, because that will really skyrocket your chances of getting pregnant. Which this leads me to tell you guys that these things that I'm about to tell you, I started doing months before I started my IVF journey to help my body prepare for IVF. And a couple of these things I started doing years before I started my IVF journey, which I really truly believe helped me in my IVF process. So I say all this to say that make sure you're the healthiest version of you before you start your IVF journey. And if you're not, really try to address those things if you can pinpoint them before you start all these expensive, I think semi-traumatizing fertility treatments. So that's my best advice I can give you right up front, is just make sure you're the healthiest version of you before starting your IVF journey. So let's get into the first thing that I focused on that helped along my IVF journey was nutrition. I have done lots of nutrition videos, lots of grocery hauls on this topic, and lots of reels on my Instagram. If you guys aren't following on Instagram, I think you totally should, because I share so many different food options and snack options that really help boost fertility. So I started researching fertility friendly and fertility boosting foods way before starting IVF, and I started incorporating those into my daily eating months before starting IVF. And the foods that I really focused on were foods high in antioxidants, high in omega-3s, and high in iron. I will link a few videos down below, grocery hauls and nutrition videos and what I eat in a day videos that do explain in detail why certain foods help boost fertility and help with the IVF process. There are certain foods that you can eat that help with IVF meds specifically. It helps the body absorb the IVF medications. So I'll get into a little bit of that in a minute. I don't want to go into tons of detail just because I've done so many videos on this topic. I don't want to draw this video out on this one topic. But the main foods that I focused on was blueberries are really high in antioxidants, as well as really any of the berries are really high in antioxidants, and you want that because it offloads the oxidative stress that our bodies go under all the time, every single day, with all the chemicals we encounter in the environment and all the stress just that we encounter. So it's really important to eat foods that are high in antioxidants. The other thing that I really tried to eat was foods high in omega-3. So omega-3 fatty acids. Studies have shown that the more omega-3 fatty acids that you eat, the better your fertility is. So foods like chia seeds and salmon are probably the highest omega-3 count foods that I can think of. But really any nut or seed besides peanuts. Peanuts is not a nut, by the way. Peanuts is a legume. I don't know if you guys knew that, but yeah, besides peanuts, really any nut or seed is going to be really high in omega-3s. And also, the smaller the fish, besides salmon's a bigger fish, that's really high in omega-3s, but the smaller the fish, like mackerel, sardines, the higher in omega-3 count, just FYI. And then lastly, foods that are really high in iron, like your green leafy vegetables like spinach and kale. It's going to be really high in iron to help your body build uterine lining, because of course you want your uterine lining built up for the the embryo transfer. Not so much for the egg retrieval process because it doesn't really have much to do with the uterus yet, but I still tried to incorporate lots of green leafy vegetables because they have lots of other nutritional benefits like antioxidants and fiber and vitamins and minerals that help fertility. So green leafy vegetables high in iron. Also, your dried fruits like raisins, dates, goji berries are really high in iron. So I tried to focus on incorporating those things into my diet every single day to help boost my fertility. Second thing that I did is I started taking supplements months before my IVF journey started. And that's because supplements take a while to build up in the body. So I wanted these supplements that I started taking like to be really high in my body before starting the IVF meds. The supplements that I started taking years before starting IVF, and in your guys' case, just months is fine, is I started taking an omega-3 supplement. I like this one that I get at Costco because it's just pure salmon oil. There's nothing added to it and it's extra strength. So I think it's 2,000 milligrams for 2 tablets. I take them at night. And like I said, the higher your omega-3 count in your system is, the better your fertility will be. The other thing I started taking was vitamin D3, and my naturopath actually put me on this 2,000 IU a night. And that really helps with inflammation throughout the body. And of course has other health benefits, but in my case, she really wanted my inflammation kind of to be as minimal as possible to help my body go through all of those traumatizing IVF medications. So I started taking this a few years before IVF, but like I said, you can just start taking it a few months and it should be enough time to build up in your system. And then the other supplement I started taking about 3 or 4 months before starting IVF was CoQ10. And I think I took 100 milligrams a night of CoQ10. And what that does is it helps increase egg quality. And so you really do want to start taking that. I wish I had started taking that like a year before starting IVF, but I didn't really think that far in advance. So if you know you're going to start your IVF journey soon, start taking CoQ10 because that will really help increase egg quality. When I got to the frozen embryo process, I switched up my supplements a little bit and I did a whole video on what supplements I started taking to prepare my body for the frozen embryo transfer. So I will link that video down below. I'm not going to go into all of that right now because like I said, I'm trying to summarize everything in this video, but please check that video out if you're interested in that and you're about to go through a fresh embryo or a frozen embryo transfer. The next thing that I did to really help my body through IVF was drinking plenty of water. You guys, water intake is huge. I still drink a gallon of water a day. I drink this at home when I'm at home on my days off. At work, I just work 2 days a week now, but I'm not able to drink the whole gallon at work. There's just no way. I'm a nurse, I'm busy, but I do try to drink this whole thing in 10 hours, which actually I am able to do. This is about 48 ounces, but I drink half of this before going to work. So I get almost a gallon, I would say, of water even when I work. But yeah, on my days off, which is 5 days a week, I do go through this whole thing, and I've mentioned this a lot on here. I like this jug because it has like timestamps throughout the day of where you should be in your water intake, and then it gives you like encouraging messages. So it like tells you to keep going, keep chugging, you're doing awesome, all this stuff. So I highly recommend you get this jug if you're looking at trying to drink a gallon of water a day. If you don't want to be that ambitious, I recommend that whatever you weigh in kilograms, so I weigh about like 64 kilograms, that's how many ounces of water you want to drink in a day. So for me, I weigh 64 kilograms. I want to drink at least 64 ounces of water in a day. And if you can kind of stick with that rule, that will really help your body kind of accept all of those IVF medications, and then you can pee out all those toxins from the medications. I think it just really helps. It also really helps with bloating. As a lot of you know who've gone through IVF know that especially the stim medications to help with the egg retrieval surgery, those medications can cause a lot of bloat and a lot of water retention, which is what I went through. But the more water you drink, the less likely your body is to retain the water. And it sounds counterintuitive, but when your body wants water, or when you're not taking in enough water, your body kind of goes into sort of a survival mode or a compensation mode and holds on to more water because there's not enough water coming in. So the more water you drink, the more hydrated you are, the less likely your body is to retain that water because it's like, oh, I have enough water coming in, I'm hydrated enough so I can pee it out. So that's kind of how that works. I did do a whole video on how I got rid of my bloat and water retention post egg retrieval, so I'll link that video down below. Along the same lines of water, I still drink my warm lemon water every morning. Fill up a whole mason jar, which is almost a liter, one of those big mason jars of water, pop it in the microwave for a couple minutes to warm it up, and then I squeeze lemon juice into it, fresh lemon juice into it. And the reason for the the warm lemon water in the morning is because, especially when you're going through IVF, I don't know the science behind it, but from my research, all the articles I've been reading before I started my IVF journey, warm lemon water really helps the body absorb the IVF medications better. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because of the lemons with the vitamin C. There's a lot of health benefits to lemon juice, so maybe that's why. But I also know that I just feel better every day that I drink lemon water in the morning because it helps reduce bloat, helps with digestion. It just helps me feel good throughout the day. It really helps with bloating and digestion and those things I kind of struggle with sometimes. So if anything, it'll help you feel good throughout the day. Also helps kickstart your hydration. So I really like the warm lemon water. I still do it every single morning. I've been doing it for years now, and I started doing that like 2 years before starting my IVF journey. So I really like that a lot. The next thing I did to really help my IVF journey was acupuncture. You guys, acupuncture is so great. I know that a lot of you are afraid of needles. I've never really been afraid of needles, but I was kind of skeptical of acupuncture at first. But then I started doing my research and started to dive into different articles that people have done on acupuncture. And there's a lot of evidence now to show that acupuncture really helps fertility and really helps the body get through IVF more successfully. I started acupuncture 2 years before starting my IVF journey. So I've been doing acupuncture for over 3 years now, and I've been doing it consistently every other week. And I go to an acupuncturist that specializes in fertility, and she actually works with my fertility clinic that I've been going to. So I kind of got lucky in that regard. But I've been consistently doing an hour of acupuncture every other week, and my acupuncturist focuses on the fertility points, which are energy points throughout the body that you can tap into that really helps the body focus on fertility, helps boost those fertility feel-good hormones, and I believe that it's really helped me a ton. And I know I've talked about this before, but I did do acupuncture right after my embryo transfer for a full hour, which is great because I just kind of laid on the table, relaxed, let the needles do their thing and help my body absorb the embryo. And I really firmly believe that that helped the embryo stick. Of course, I have no scientific evidence to prove that it helped the embryo stick because honestly, like I've said before, after your embryo transfer, either it's gonna work or it's not. There's not a whole lot you can do to like make it stick, but I think it helped. So yeah, firm believer in acupuncture. I will link a video down below that I did. I think this was a couple years ago when I first started YouTube, and I'm kind of awkward in front of the camera. Let's be honest, I'm still kind of awkward in front of the camera, but if you guys don't mind my awkwardness, you can check out that acupuncture video down below. I did a whole informational video on acupuncture and how it helps fertility and the studies behind it. So if you're interested in that video, you can check that out, but highly recommend doing acupuncture, especially starting it at least a few months before IVF to kind of kickstart your body on that fertility journey. Okay, you guys, the last thing that I did, and probably the most important thing that I focused on, was my mental health. This is probably the most important thing to focus on. Nutrition, water, everything else that I've talked about is important also, but your mental health is key. It is crucial to what your body does through IVF. I really believe that if the body is in a stress state, if it, like I mentioned before earlier in the video, if it's sensing a threat, it will not get pregnant because it's protecting itself. So if you're on the anxious side like I am, I know that I'm prone to high anxiety. I really tried to implement some interventions for my mental health before starting my IVF journey. So I started incorporating things to help reduce my stress and anxiety. Like I started incorporating daily meditation, just like 5 to 10 minutes through the app Headspace, which I highly recommend. I know I've mentioned that before to you guys, but Headspace is a great app, especially if you're not used to meditation and you're not familiar with it, like I wasn't familiar with it. Great app to do. So that really helped reduce my stress level. I was very surprised by that. But going on walks every day, I have to go on walks every day with Yuma, as you guys know, but just getting outside in nature really helps reduce stress and anxiety. And then really make sure you guys have a support system before going through IVF. I have a really good friend that I've been giving her IVF shots to her every night because she's deathly afraid of needles and can't give them to herself, and she doesn't want her husband giving them to her. But she has not told anybody that she's going through this. Luckily, I'm able to help her, so I think I'm just kind of a huge support system to her husband of course too, but she's not telling anybody. And so I'm so glad that I'm there for her, at least to support her and help her through her journey. But this is not something to go through alone. I know that I share my IVF journey. I'm okay with that. I love sharing everything that has to do with IVF and what I've gone through, but that's just me. I know that most people don't want to share, and that's totally fine, but just make sure you have that one person, or if you don't want to share with anybody in your life that you're going through IVF, then maybe get some sort of like professional person that you can share this with, because not talking about it at all, not having any support system at all while going through this IVF journey is extremely difficult. I don't know that it's really that possible to go through it in a healthy manner. So just make sure you have a support system in place before starting IVF, whether it's your spouse, a friend, a sibling, a therapist, like I said, somebody that's in the professional world that's not really tied to you personally, somebody to talk to that knows that you're going through IVF, because it can be very traumatizing and it is very difficult for everybody on many different levels, and you don't know how you'll respond to it. So just have a support system built in place. Have somebody that you can tell all of this to before starting IVF. Okay, that summarizes the 5 top things that I did to help my IVF journey be successful, to help my body accept the IVF medications. And as you guys know, I am now 22 weeks. What am I today? 22 weeks and 5 days. So I still can't believe it. I'm believing it more since my 20-week ultrasound. I'll link that video down below too if you missed that. But my 20-week anatomy scan was truly magical and mind-blowing. And I can't believe I'm having a son. I cannot believe that just a year ago I was starting my IVF journey and now I'm 22 weeks pregnant. So you guys, anything is possible. So hopefully these interventions help you out in your IVF journey. I know I say this with like every IVF video, but please do not give up on your dream of having your own kids. If you would have told me a year ago when I started my IVF journey that a year from now I would be 22 weeks pregnant, I would have not believed you. I would have laughed in your face and said, no way, I'm just going through IVF so I don't regret my life looking back in my 40s. So it just goes to show you that anything is possible. But yeah, try these interventions because I feel like anything helps with IVF. IVF, like I said, is hard on the body, and whatever you can do to help your body go through the IVF process will really help your body's chances of getting pregnant. I'm a firm believer in all of that. I didn't say this at the beginning of the video, but for those of you who are brand new, welcome. I upload 1 to 2 videos a week all about living healthy and all about IVF because that's been my life the past year. Thank you so much, you guys, for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it because it does really help support my channel, and always remember to be kind to yourself.